Denmark, which controls Greenland, it's not doing its job and it's not being a good ally. So you have to ask yourself, how are we going to solve that problem, solve our own national security? If that means that we need to take more territorial interest in Greenland, that is what President Trump is going to do, because he doesn't care about what the Europeans scream at us. He cares about putting the interests of America's citizens first.
Dear Mr. Trump, I'm speaking to you from the heart because that's how I communicate, and I really hope you'll listen. Today was a big day in Greenland. Our people came together today, marching peacefully to say, enough. Enough of your talk of taking over our land.
So I know it's late right now, but we're getting news in from Greenland that Greenland's Prime Minister is furious at a planned visit by Trump officials and Usha Vance, JD Vance's wife. Here's the article from CNN. Greenland's Prime Minister slams highly aggressive visit by U.S. officials, including Second Lady Usha Vance.
Did you know that U.S. officials went door to door to Greenlanders to see if anyone at all would be willing to meet with the Vances?
Alright, so imagine this. America rolls into Greenland, throws some serious shade, then acts surprised when Denmark and half the internet throw it right back. That's pretty much what happened after US Vice President JD Vance dropped into Greenland and decided it was a good time to lecture Denmark on Arctic security and how it's apparently not doing enough for Greenland's people. Yeah, that's the same Greenland the US tried to buy not too long ago. Spoiler alert, still not for sale.
Denmark, which controls Greenland, it's not doing its job and it's not being a good ally. So you have to ask yourself, how are we going to solve that problem, solve our own national security? If that means that we need to take more territorial interest in Greenland, that is what President Trump is going to do, because he doesn't care about what the Europeans scream at us. He cares about putting the interests of America's citizens first.
Cue Denmark. Not exactly the land of dramatic protests, but this time, people hit the streets in Copenhagen and Aarhus like it was Eurovision night and someone insulted ABBA. In Copenhagen, the vibe was very much "You Can't Sit With Us," led by former Danish Foreign Minister Mogens Lykketoft, who didn't mince words. He wants to take this all the way to the UN and rally American public opinion against what he calls straight-up aggression. And judging by the crowd chants, half in Greenlandic, half in Danish, Denmark is standing firm. Greenland is not a souvenir from your Arctic vacation.
누나까진 가고로마 수학 기빵이 수사풋 아량이 신나 수사풋 아바다닉 다치너강 이산나 싹 누나tud inuiatud atatsimonop imattekutsi pakput nukik ang inarusin nang idang tantekutsi tsigo Nagputok pa sa pasuang kuya na kuya suwak atatsimonop tekutsi tsigo abatanik kanosun isumakakpata nunakput uaw piyakput Amado, kakulumang suwak, kifangi susakput, ariyangi sinna susakput, apakusam na kasangidak, karati nunat, karati nunat, karati nunat, karati nunat, karati nunat, karati nunat, karati
Did you know that U.S. officials went door to door to Greenlanders to see if anyone at all would be willing to meet with the Vances? And the answer was no. None of them, not a single one, was willing to meet with the Vances. Because Greenlanders are awesome and super smart and know not to meet with shitty losers.
Now, President Trump, as he says all the time, and as a lot of people recognize, is a president of peace. We want to have good relationships with everybody. That includes, even to the extent possible, the Chinese and the Russians. But part of having good relations is showing your strength when you have to. And unfortunately, the story of Greenland over the past 20 years when it comes to security is that we've underinvested in the infrastructure, we've underinvested in the security architecture, and we've underinvested in the brave men and women who are doing a very hard job, as Mike said, to keep all of us safe. That has to change. Now, when I pointed out a couple of weeks ago that in some ways, with all due respect to our Danish allies, they had not kept pace, there was a lot of criticism from Denmark, a lot of attacks at the Trump administration, at the president, at me, at others in our administration for saying the obvious, which is that Denmark hasn't done a good job at keeping Greenland safe. And one of the things I heard was, well, what about the many Danes who lost their lives in the war on terror fighting alongside the United States? Well, look, we obviously honor the sacrifice of our Danish friends in the war on terror 20 years ago, just as, for example, the French honor the sacrifice of Americans in Normandy 80 years ago. But recognizing that there are important security partnerships in the past does not mean that we can't have disagreements with allies in the present about how to preserve our shared security for the future. And that's what this is about. There is no amount of bullying, no amount of obfuscating, no amount of confusing the issue. Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. That has to change. And because it hasn't changed, this is why President Trump's policy in Greenland is what it is.
Meanwhile in Aarhus, people brought the energy, homemade signs, and more sass than a Nordic Netflix drama. There were TikToks, Reels, you name it. Some people even edited Vance's speech to play over iceberg footage like it was a bad Bond villain monologue. The creativity? Unmatched. Now, let's get serious for a sec. Greenland isn't just a cold rock. It's rich in minerals, strategic for missile defense, and yeah, it's got that sweet Arctic access. But it's also home to real people, mostly indigenous Inuit, who've made it clear they don't want to be anyone's pawn in a geopolitical board game. So while the US might be dreaming of buying real estate with a space base on top, Denmark and Greenland are saying, nah, we good. And honestly, in 2025, shouldn't we be past the whole let's buy a country phase? If you like this video, send this to someone who needs to see it. Before you scroll, smash that like button and the subscribe button. We've got more spicy stories coming your way.